Hello and welcome to PrepEve, where we revolutionize how you prepare for IELTS. We are back with another episode or another lecture on the writing task 1, which would be on our semi-formal letter. So the agenda for today is task achievement for IELTS writing task 1, how to write a semi-formal letter. So let's quickly have a look about what we do and who we are. So we started about 3 years ago and we have trained more than students in more than 30 countries across the globe, and over 30,000 students across 30 countries. And we have also taught 1200 plus students in our one-to-one courses, which are conducted online on Skype and other such video conferencing platforms. So this is a little about us, and on the right side of your screens you can see the testimonials of the students who have achieved their desired band scores. And yes, the happy faces are all there in front of you. So let's get started with today's agenda. So, what's the significance of task 1? Task 1, in case of your general training test, which we are currently dealing with, has, I'm so sorry for that. So, it has, just a minute. So, it has a weightage of 33.3%, and you will have to be completing one letter. And the task 1 for your writing task is a letter, and they are of 3 types, and we have discussed that before in the previous lecture. The first one is your informal letter, second is your semi-formal letter, and the third one is your formal letter. So in the last session we covered the informal letter, and today we'll be dealing with the semi-formal letter. So yes, what's the significance of task 1? So out of the total of 9 band scores of your writing task, 3 band scores are assigned to your task 1, which is your letter, and the remaining 6 band scores are devoted to or assigned to your task 2, which is your essay writing. So this is number 1. And the second thing that you have to consider here is that task 1 is relatively easier than your task 2. It's shorter, it's concise, and it's well structured because you get all the bullet points. So it's relatively easier to score in your task 1. So a good task 1 will give you confidence for task 2. Yes, definitely. If you start with your task 1 and it ends up going good, then definitely you will gain a lot of confidence, and that confidence would show when you attempt your task 2, which is the essay. It's easy and straightforward because you get all the bullet points that create a reference for you, and you can write considering those bullet points in mind, and that would give you a well structured letter. So this is the significance of task 1. So never ever think that you should be focusing more on your essay writing, because the letter is equally important, or your task 1 is equally important as your task 2. So though we have completed all of this in the previous session as well, but for the new students who have joined us today and who haven't gone through all these band descriptors, I would really want you guys to have a quick look so that we are on the same page when we discuss the following slides. So this is the task achievement parameter. These are directly taken from the IELTS website. So let's have a look at each of the band descriptors. So usually anybody who is taking the IELTS general training would want to score at least above a 7 band score in their writing task. So first of all, let's have a look at what a 7 band score should look like. So a 7 band score covers the requirements of the task. So whatever the task is asking you to do, you cover the requirements, you fulfill whatever the task is asking you to do. Then it says the next 2 bullet points are divided into academic and general training. So in case of academic, you need to present a clear overview of main trends, differences, or stages. We'll be discussing it in detail when we start with our task achievement for task 1 in case of your academic test. So let's leave it aside for today. Let's focus on the third bullet point in the 7 band category. So general training presents a clear purpose with the tone consistent and appropriate. So it presents a clear purpose. What's the purpose of you writing the letter? That should be clearly stated in your letter, and the tone should be consistent. Why are you writing the letter, and what is the tone? That tone should be consistent throughout the 3 paragraphs, and it should have appropriateness in it. So that's what you have to take care of. And the last bullet point in your 7 band score descriptor is clearly presents and highlights key features, bullet points, but could be more fully extended. So the reason why you would score 7 band score is because of that but there. But could be more fully extended. You should be extending whatever you're writing, developing it fully, and elaborating it properly. So you need to take care of all these 3 points whenever you're writing your letter. Now let's have a look at the 9 band score task achievement. So fully satisfies all the requirements of the task. So you need to satisfy all the requirements of the task by elaborating properly whatever is asked in the question. Only then you'll get 9 band scores, and also clearly presents a fully developed response. So the response needs to be fully developed, which basically means you can add some examples, you can give some relevant information to extend and elaborate it in a detailed manner. Now, I don't want you guys to look below the 7 band score, but just for reference, let's quickly have a look at what happens if you score 4 band scores. What are you going wrong in? What's the major issue if you score a 4 band score? So attempts to address the task but does not cover all key features. So here, if you miss out on any of the bullet points, you would end up scoring a 4 band score, which is something we do not desire at all. So the learning from 4 band score is that you have to completely understand what the bullet points are asking you to do and answer it accordingly by fully developing your responses. And then it says that it fails to clearly explain the purpose of the letter, the tone may be inappropriate. So you do not understand what's the purpose of the letter, why you're writing the letter, what's the issue like. So that's one mistake. And also you can confuse yourself with the tone. Maybe in one paragraph you're using friendly casual language, and in the other paragraph you're going extremely formal. So you need to take care of these things as well. Last but not the least, may confuse key features, bullet points with detail. Parts may be unclear, irrelevant, or repetitive and inaccurate. So the points should not be irrelevant at all. They shouldn't be repetitive or inaccurate. So these are the things that you have to keep in your mind, that whatever you write, that should be relevant, should be non-repetitive, accurate, and also it should be developed properly so that you score and satisfy whatever the question is asking you to do. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So what needs to be done to be in the target range? How do we score a 7 band or more? So we need to be clear about the type of letter that we are going to write, and for that it's important that you know the difference between all the 3 types of letters, which we have already discussed. So in case if somebody has any sort of confusion, I would request you to watch the previous live session. Number 2, write down the purpose of the letter right in the opening paragraph. You have to make it very clear to the reader what they're going to read and why you're writing the letter to them. So that should be clearly stated right in the beginning or right in the very first paragraph. Keep the tone consistent. Now we saw that in all the band descriptors for all the band scores that you need to be consistent with your tone, and your tone also needs to be appropriate considering the context. So if you're writing a formal letter, the tone should be formal throughout the letter. Do not use informal slangs in a formal letter. So we are clear till here. The next point is address all the bullet points sufficiently, where sufficiently means that you should be elaborate about every point. So elaborate each and every point properly. Now if you notice in the 9 band score, it clearly states that fully satisfies all the requirements of the task and clearly presents a fully developed response. So here again it says the same thing, that you need to elaborate. Do not leave it on the assumption of the reader or the examiner that they'll understand you automatically. They would not. Don't leave them hanging or guessing that this could be the reason or this is the elaboration. Tell them everything that you have in your mind, but yet again, it should be elaborated accurately and appropriately. Unnecessary dragging or stretching the point would not fetch you good bands. All right, let's move ahead. So achieving task achievement, how to get a high score in task achievement parameter. Be clear about the type of letter. So what type of letter are you writing? That should be clear in your mind as soon as you read the question, and you need to identify whether it's formal, informal or semi-formal. Write down the purpose. You need to write down the purpose in the very first paragraph as to why you're writing the letter to the person you're writing it to, and then you need to follow it with the reasoning. Third is to keep the tone consistent. Your tone should be consistent with what the letter looks like or what the type of letter is. And in case it's a formal letter, you have to write in a formal way. And in case if the letter is an informal letter, then you can use casual and friendly language as well. And I cannot stress this enough, address all the bullet points sufficiently. All the bullet points that are given in your letter question have to be taken care of. Take them as references and build up around them so that your letter comes out to be well structured, and also you're in a position to write more than 150 words. What do we need to avoid? Let's have a look at what a 6-band descriptor looks like. So it says addresses the requirements of the task, and let's jump to the third bullet point. It says presents a purpose that is generally clear. There may be inconsistencies in tone. So somewhere or the other in some sentence of some of the paragraph, you might become inconsistent with the tone, and that's something that they would notice and score you lesser around a 6-band score. And they presents and adequately highlights key features, bullet points, but now this but is important, but details may be irrelevant, inappropriate or inaccurate. So even if you think you've understood the question, you need to get down to the intricacies so that when you're elaborating upon that particular bullet point, you don't deviate from the topic and you don't end up deviating from what the task is asking you to do. If you do so, automatically from a 7-band score, you would drop down to a 6-band score if you end up wavering from the topic or if you go tangential to the topic. All right. So make sure whatever the question is asking, you stick to that and build up or answer in accordance with that itself. So do not go off topic. Definitely, if you go off topic, you would be getting down from 7 to 6-band score, and that is something that we should not be avoiding at all scenarios. In all cases, it can push you below the target range. Get your work checked again and again. You might think you are relevant, but most of the times the reason behind a 6.5 band score is the poor TR or TA score. So yes, your task response is very important. If you deviate from the topic, if you go off track, you are bound to lose band scores in this particular parameter. And for this, we are here to help you out and tell you what are your mistakes and how you can improve in case of your task achievement or task response parameter, and how you can understand each and every question properly and not deviate from it. Okay, time to write a letter live. So, this is your letter question. Have a look at it, read it, and I would like you guys to open up a notebook in front of you, take a sheet of paper, and start writing it with me. Alright, just like the last class, let's create an outline first. Sorry for that. Okay, so the question is, you are experiencing financial problems and want to ask your landlord if you can pay your rent late. Write a letter to your landlord. In your letter, explain why you're writing to him, why you cannot pay the rent, when you will pay the rent. So we have three questions, and we have the situation given to us wherein we're unable to pay the rent to the landlord. So I would need suggestions from you guys. Why are you writing to him? So that's the first bullet point, which is pretty simple. We know the reason why we're writing this letter to the landlord. So because we're unable to pay, unable or inability to pay the rent. All right, so why you cannot pay the rent is the second bullet point. So what's the answer to your why? Why you cannot pay the rent? Any answers, any suggestions why you cannot pay the rent? Okay, let's say that you left your job. Job or unemployed, something of that sort. And when you will pay the rent, so you need to give them the next possible date or tentative date when you could pay them. So what can we write? All right, so let's get started. So the salutation of a semi-formal letter is always dear, followed by the title and the last name of the person. So dear followed by Mr. or Miss or Mrs., and then you write the last name or the surname of the person you're addressing the letter to. So here it could be dear Mr. Smith. So Smith is a last name, or in case of Indian context, you can say dear Mr. Sharma or anything of that sort. So here, dear Mr. Smith. All right. I am writing this letter, so you need to tell why you're writing this letter. So if you remember, the very first thing is writing the purpose of the letter in the first paragraph of your letter, or first paragraph as soon as you open it. So I am writing this letter to, writing this letter. So I'm writing this letter to request you to allow me some more time to pay my rent. And you can continue by saying which is due this, let's say, Sunday. Okay. So basically, in the very first sentence, you've made it clear to the reader or to the landlord, in this case, that I am writing this letter, that you're writing this letter to request him to allow you some more time to pay the rent which is due this Sunday. So you were supposed to pay the rent by this Sunday, but because of some reasons or some circumstances or situation, you are unable to do so. So we are going to now write a letter and going to build up on the 3 bullet points that are given to us. So I'm writing this letter to request you to allow me some more time to pay my rent which is due this Sunday. As you know, or as you are aware of, where that I am regular with the payment of my rent every month. However, I will not be able to, or I will to do so this time. Some unforeseen circumstances. So this becomes your first paragraph, wherein you've told him the reason of writing the letter, and then you've also given him the background that you've been regular and this is the first time this is happening, so he can exempt you from it. So let's move on to the next one. Why you cannot pay the rent. So you have to tell why. So you can start with, let me explain the situation. So this is how you are using connectors to connect the previous paragraph with the next paragraph. So connectors do not always have to be however, moreover, furthermore. These words are also used as connectors. So let me explain the situation. So left your job. So you can start up with this one, or you can say I'm unemployed. So let me explain the situation. I hope you guys are writing along with me. So if you have any suggestions, please write it down here. So you're explaining the situation and you're saying that I recently left my previous job because they wanted me to relocate. I'm sorry for that. They wanted me to relocate to a different place which I was not comfortable with. So you have a genuine reason of leaving your previous job because those guys wanted you to move to a different place. So you could consider it to be a transfer or posting to a different place, and you were uncomfortable with it, so you left that job. So instead of unfortunately, we can start by saying even though. Even applied for various job opportunities. That's pay. I'm so sorry. Alright, so let me explain the situation. I recently left my previous job because they wanted me to relocate to a different place, which I was not comfortable with. Even though I have applied for various job opportunities, I have not been shortlisted for any yet. Therefore, considering the shortage of finances, I will not be in a position to pay my dues before the deadline. So, you have given your reason of not being able to pay the rent. When you will pay the rent? So you've given him an estimate like a fortnight's time. So fortnight basically means 15 days. So you're asking him to give you 15 days time so that you can take the interview, get through it, and then get a job, and then you can pay him the dues that are pending. So yours sincerely, and then you just write your name. So this is how you write the letter, and this is your semi-formal letter. You are elaborating about the details of whatever the question is asking you to do. The first one was why you're writing the letter. So you have also given them the background that this is the first time that you're not being able to pay the rent, and this will not happen again. So you can add that line also if you want to. And in the second paragraph, they've asked you why you cannot pay the rent. So you've also given the reason behind that, because you left your previous job because of, left can be changed with quit, so that's your choice. I've quit my previous job because they wanted me to relocate to a different place. And then you have given them a kind of a futuristic aspect to it, that you would be paying the amount in a matter of 15 days. So you're requesting them to give you 15 days time to arrange for the money. So you can also write arrange for funds or arrange for the money. By the time you'll also get your uh, the result of your interview. So this is how you have to write. And let's go back. So this was your letter. Just have a look at it. If you want to take a screenshot, you can do that as well. Okay, so we're done with the letter, and it took around 20 minutes itself, because I was discussing with you and I was writing in front of you. You could see how much time it actually takes. And I mean, I think it didn't even take 20 minutes properly. So let's move ahead. Any doubts? Okay, somebody has asked the meaning of unforeseen, something that you have not predicted, or something that you are not sure of is going to happen in the future. So that was unforeseen. So you weren't expecting it to happen. So that's unforeseen. Yeah, it takes at least 1 month to get the salary, but then you can cover up with the story that you will arrange the money in the meantime. So if you want to write, you can write that line. Okay, so a bit about our courses. We offer personalized one to one courses which will help you achieve the band score that you desire. And you do not have to worry about watching boring lectures, because our sessions are going to be interactive. There would be one trainer and one student, and you can ask as many questions as you have to them, and they would spend one dedicated hour with you, and they'll give you all their attention in that 1 hour to all your doubts and queries. So you can ask them as many questions as you want in that 1 hour. And our courses are conducted online, and it can be on any video conferencing platform such as Zoom, Skype, or any other that you feel you like to use. So even Google Duos. So that is how we conduct the classes, and the timings of the classes are flexible. Whenever you're free after your working hours, after your college hours, we are here to take your classes. So we can take your classes before work or after work. So we offer complete flexibility, comfort, and convenience, because we want you to study when you are able to grasp the most. And that's the reason why we have come up with this flexible model. So, as I've mentioned, we would give you individual attention, practical approach. Yes, we would give you n number of practice tests, and each session with us is a mock test in itself. So before every writing session, you will be asked to complete one task 1 and one task 2 and send it to us on our email ID, where we will be evaluating it in front of you during the session based on the four parameters on which your IELTS examiner would be assessing you on. Number two, if it's your listening or your reading session, before that, we'll be asking you to complete a couple of listening tests or reading tests. And during the session, we'll be figuring out why you're going wrong in certain questions, what are those questions, and how we can overcome the mistakes or the reasons of those going wrong. So we'll be discussing that, giving you the strategies, and also solving your listening and reading questions in front of you during the session itself. Last but not the least, your speaking module, it would be yet again one to one, and the trainer would ask you questions and you have to answer to them, and in the end they'll be discussing and telling you where you went wrong and how you can overcome it. And yet again, this will also be based upon the four parameters. Your pronunciation would be checked, your fluency and coherence will be taken care of, and also we'll be checking whether you're using topic specific vocabulary or not. This will cater to your third parameter, which is lexical resources. And last but not the least, we'll also be seeing whether your GRA is in place, which is whether you are using grammatically appropriate sentences when you're speaking to the trainer. So that's how practical our approach is. And flexibility, I've already mentioned, we offer you different time slots to choose from, so you can also do that. And our fees is pretty affordable, so do check that online on our website, and you can also give us a call on the number given here. And unbeatable quality, that can be seen on the testimonials, and all the testimonials have not been uploaded because a lot of our students are not very comfortable coming online and coming on YouTube. So some of them have given us their written testimonials, which are on our website. The others are on YouTube, and you can go and have a look, and uh, I'm pretty sure you're going to like them. And yes, so the quality is there definitely. And apart from that, we are here to help you out. So if you have any doubts, any questions, you can call us. You're welcome, Kalai. Any doubts? All right, let's wind it up for today. I am glad that you guys are here, and thank you so much. Thank you so much.